rather this be a little bit more of a question and answer session, so you guys can ask me what I'm thinking about, or what you think some of the challenges are, or share some of the concerns and challenges that you guys see here in PA that I should make sure I know about. Because that's what this campaign is really about. It's about reaching out right across the country to places where Liberals haven't fared so well in either recent years or in long years. I spent 3 days before today traveling around rural rural Alberta. And I gotta tell you, I was amazed by how popular the Trudeau name is in that part of the world. No, really. We had almost 100 people in in Vegreville. We had over 200 people in Bonnyville. We had 250 in Pinoca, 300 in Red Deer, like 200 in Lethbridge, 300 in Medicine Hat, 6 in Brooks, but something was wrong with the invites. And Calgary and Edmonton, where we did do little stop-ins as well, were extremely well attended as well. But the urban riding, so it's easier to find Liberals. But what that showed me was that even in places where you don't expect the Liberal Party, certainly not a Liberal named Trudeau, to do well or to draw people, people came out. People wanted to hear, people wanted to ask questions, people wanted to be part of this. And I realized that it confirmed something that I've sensed for the past years. That yes, we Canadians are terrifically cynical about politics these days. We're used to voting against. We sit ourselves on the right, we vote against the left. We sit on the left, we vote against the right. We tend to accept the least worst of the options out there rather than voting for a vision, for a program, for values that we share. But we know we're cynical about politics, and we're tired of being cynical about politics. And everywhere around the country, I see people responding to the engagement, to the message that the Liberal Party and my candidacy is bringing forward. That we have to once again pull together in politics. We can't continue to play region against region. We can't continue to pander to the lowest common denominator. We can't continue to promise simple soundbite solutions to complex questions, or put band-aids over problems that require significant long-term reflection and solutions. Canadians know we are better than the structure we have right now in politics. We know we are better than continually electing people who are no longer representatives for their communities in Ottawa, but representatives of the Prime Minister's office in their communities. We deserve better than that. We deserve to be part of the great conversations that we should be having in this country. To shape a path forward, not to just get by, but to build, to thrive, and to respond to the tremendous challenges we're facing. Whether they be environmental, or economic, or around poverty, or human rights, or social justice, we have huge challenges. And they won't be solved by sniping at each other, by scoring points, by putting out negative ads, by focusing on winning rather than by focusing on serving and building the communities across this country that we love so much. So what this Liberal Party has decided to do with this leadership is to realize that, we've had trouble in the past elections. We went from 170 seats in the year 2000 to 135 in the election after that, to 100 in the election after that, to 77 in the election after that, to 34 in the election after that. I mean, that's a straight line. And it ends up at 2 seats, because there's no way we're losing Wascana or Papineau. But other than that, very lonely, just me and Ralph in the house. So we need to turn that around. We need to realize that one of the challenges the Liberal Party has had is that over the past years we've turned in on ourselves. We've distanced ourselves from the people who had faith in us, who worked hard for us. We took for granted communities that had always voted for us. And we turned inwards on leadership wrangling and expectations that people would wake up soon enough and return power to the Liberal Party because it was somehow our right or our entitlement. And rightly, we got punished for that. And why I'm excited about this leadership right now is we are able to do things now that we never would have been able to do had we still had 100 seats. It leaves us to a point where we can say, wow, we have to rethink everything. And this leadership actually decided, hey Sheila! This leadership actually made us decide that the most important thing a political party can decide, which is who's going to be the next leader, is too important to leave in the hands of the Liberals remaining loyal to the Liberal Party. We need to reach out to the millions of people who share Liberal values, who see a need for a progressive, balanced, fiscally responsible voice in Parliament, and a proper, pragmatic, value-based set of solutions around evidence-based policy and best practices that only the Liberal Party can offer, if we get it right. So we've said, you know what? All Canadians now can vote for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. As long as you're not an active member of another political party, you can sign up for free. You don't get labeled a Liberal. You don't have to pay a membership fee. We're going to give you the opportunity to help us pick the next leader. And that turning outwards and trusting Canadians, because lots of people said, well, aren't you worried that someone's going to make a terrible choice? Well, that's part of my strategy, because the cons think I'm a terrible choice, but that's neither here nor there. Just kidding. The actual fact is, no, we're not worried about that. Why? Because we trust Canadians. Because we know that this country has a history of stepping up, of doing the right thing, of responding to hope and generosity with positivism and compassion. That's what we need. We need to once again draw a set of solutions from coast to coast to coast that don't play up regional discords, don't find convenient wedge issues, don't say one thing in one part of the country and another thing in another part of the country, and understand that for all our differences, we are that one place in the world that is strong, not in spite of our diversity and differences, but because of them. And our capacity to get that right will be directly related to our capacity to pull together and directly take on the cynicism that is defining politics today. So that's why I'm so excited to be getting out across the country. Because unlike the NDP's leadership campaign, where they had one member, one vote, but it was an absolute one, where if a riding had 30,000 members, it was much more interesting to spend time there than to go to a place with maybe 30 or 50 members. Well, the Liberal Party says every single riding in this country is essential if we're going to be a national party. And every single riding across this country, regardless of whether there's 30 or 300 or 3,000 supporters and members, will have exactly the same weight in choosing the next leader. Which means the typical bastions of Liberals where they remain, you know, that hotbed of liberalism in Regina and Montreal and Toronto, are no longer any more important. Prince Albert, or Prince Rupert, or Prince George, Prince Edward Island. How many can I go? No, I guess I go. So what that means is, as candidates, we're getting out. We're connecting with people. Because it's not enough to just stand at a podium, offer out a 5-point plan, and expect the people are going to say, oh yeah, let's run back to the Liberal Party. No. It's about reaching out and connecting and organizing and building confidence, but demonstrating a commitment not to the future of the Liberal Party, but to the future of our country. And on this path, I'm extraordinarily lucky to be surrounded by an amazing team. I have some of my best friends in the world, either traveling with me like Alex or in the back office across the country. And I have the most respected caucus members coming on board and understanding the challenges we have to face. And the fact that I get to stand here before you tonight with my friend and mentor, Ralph Goodale, who was one of Canada's greatest finance ministers. And it was always understood that as important as it was for him to be a strong voice for the Liberal Party in the West, it was always much more important for him to be a strong voice for the West within the Liberal Party and within the Government of Canada. And that understanding of the deep responsibility of service and the commitment to your community needs to be at the heart of how the Liberal Party convinces Canadians to believe and to expect more, not just from their leaders and their representatives, not just from their neighbors and their communities, but to believe in and expect more from themselves. As we expect more from ourselves, as we get engaged in voting for, as we become part of a movement that will restore a sense of possibility and future to this country, everything becomes possible. Because ultimately, the only thing that matters is how we build for the long-term strength of this country. How we work together, focus on our shared values, and build the kind of country that will continue to offer greater opportunities to every succeeding generation than even the ones before were able to get. That process requires all of us to stop being disengaged and cynical about politics and to believe once again in the importance of working together, of building and creating every day anew this country we love so much. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you very much.